It was nothing like that. Abu Sufyan was actually having a discussion with the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was so moved that he became Muslim. And now the most humble entry into Mecca. The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is entering it. His army of 10,000 people are reciting Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah. They're reminding themselves that this is their goal. Allah is their goal. Akhirah is their goal. And another thing to keep in mind is how when we are at the masjid and we go for Eid Salah, right? And you have maybe 100, 200, 300 people. And when the Imam is doing the Eid Takbirat before Eid Salah starts, the masjid is booming with Eid Takbirat, right? And everyone is saying it. And it's an incredible moment. You feel that. You feel that connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala getting stronger. You're all praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala together. Imagine 10,000 Muslims entering Mecca. Imagine the effect it has on their hearts, and then imagine the effect it has on the hearts of the mushrikeen, of the idol worshippers, of those who had tormented and tortured the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, of those who had exiled him, boycotted him, of those who had been happy when something challenging happened to him, of those who had made fun of him. Every step of the way, these people had not supported their own son, their own brother, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So now, I mean, I'm painting a picture for you. Now imagine they're hearing this army, they're hearing the praise of Allah booming in the streets of Mecca. What do you think they're feeling? What do you think is going on in their minds at this time? What do you think their hearts are feeling? They are scared. They are scared. They don't know what's going to happen to them. They don't know what's going to happen to them. This person has been in exile for 8 years. He was forced out. He had to leave because he was fearful of his life, and he was fearful, and he had to leave for that reason. And he couldn't practice or spread Islam in peace in Mecca. What do you think is going on in the minds of these people? They're very scared. They don't know what's going to happen to them. And they don't know how to feel right now that he told them, go to your homes and you'll be safe. So hold that thought and let's continue on with what the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is doing. And when you, inshallah, it's very bittersweet that inshallah when Eid is either tomorrow or Sunday, and we will be home and we will be doing our, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the morning with our family. We'll do the Eid takbirat, even if we're not together. We'll do some sort of a discussion on Eid. It won't be an actual Eid khutbah. We will, be together with our family, inshallah, and praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and celebrate the end of Ramadan and everything. I want you to remember, I want you to connect that, the Eid takbirat that you are going to be doing, that you do every year, to the ones that the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his army recited when they entered Mecca. How beautiful of a connection is that between us and between what happened 1500 years ago. So the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, now hold at that thought, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam entered Mecca and he made his way to the Kaaba and he performed tawaf around the Kaaba. And in his hand, he had a bow. He had like a bow and arrow. He had a bow in his hand, and that bow was used for a very important purpose. And what was that purpose? Both on the Kaaba, on top of the Kaaba, and around it were a total of 360 idols, which the Quraysh were worshipping, right? The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used his bow and arrow, and he began to one by one topple those idols. And all this whole time he's doing that, and he is reciting the ayah in Surah 17, ayah 81. He's saying, and say, truth has come and batil, which is falsehood, has vanished. Surely batil, innal batila kana zahuqa, that it is bound to disappear. So this is a beautiful ayah for us to reflect on also, and we'll do so in just a moment. And he was also saying, Surah 34, ayah 49, say, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the truth, which is the Quran, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the truth has come, and batil, which is falsehood, can neither create anything nor resurrect anything. So a very important lesson for us. And think about what lesson can you get from this. Think about it, and please, type it in the comment section. That sometimes we are, sometimes we are telling the truth, or we have something that is true, and a lot of people around us don't have that truth, or they are bent on twisting that truth, or they're bent on saying things about Islam or about Muslims that are just not true, and sometimes can get disheartening, right? It can get disheartening, and it can get hard for us and challenging. Like, why are these people saying these things when it's not true about Islam? Or why are these people saying this about me when it's not who I am? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is promising us, listeners, He's promising us that innal batila kana zahuqa, that batil is ever bound to vanish. It's bound to disappear. Just hold strong to Islam. Just be patient and it'll happen. And think about, if you know the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam that he made way before the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he made dua from Mecca. He made dua for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send a righteous person, a wise person, a good person to people who will help the people, who will help people get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And who was that person? The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we get another beautiful lesson from this story. We get another beautiful lesson that sometimes we're making dua, and we're making so much dua, and especially in Ramadan, we're making so much dua for so many things, and it doesn't get answered right away. To us, it doesn't get answered right away. What does that mean? It means that the dua will get answered when it is best for us. And who knows when it's best for us? Do we know? Or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. So that's another beautiful reflection or lesson that we can learn from this. So the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he did that with the idols. He started to strike them, and he wanted to make sure that none of them remained, because now it's time for the Muslims to really take over Mecca and to really establish the order that was, or establish that monotheistic belief, the belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that was established at the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So another thing, so at this point, people are still in their houses, and the Rasul, or they're in the masjid, or in their house, Abu Sufyan, and the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions are doing that. The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is breaking those idols, and so people still at this point, they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know what's going to happen. And going back to what when I was talking about like painting a picture in our minds, going back to that. The announcement will come in a few minutes now. They don't have to wait too long. The announcement is going to come. What's going to happen to these people? But for again, now what's going on through their minds? For 20 years or so, the people of Mecca, especially its leaders, we know that they did nothing but cause hardship for the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for the companions, right? They persecuted him, and they went to war against them even after they went to Medina. So now on the day of Fath Mecca, right, going back to how what's happening, the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam has 10,000 people with him, and all he has to do is tell them, strike, attack, don't let anyone go, take prisoners, destroy their houses, destroy their items, destroy their cattle, destroy their means of livelihood. All he has to do is just give one word to his army, and it'll be done without question, right? But what happens? While the people of the Quraysh were gathered near the Kaaba and they're waiting to see what's going to happen, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he looks at them and he says, "What do you think I will do today? What do you think I'll do with you?" And they, after having done all that to him, and after having said all these false things about him, they know one thing is for sure. They say, "You will do khair, well by us. You will do well by us, for you are a noble and generous brother, and a noble and generous nephew." He heard that, and he responded by saying, "No reproach upon you this day. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive you." Allahu Akbar. Right? Allahu Akbar. No resentment. He's telling them, no hard feelings, no resentment. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive you. And that is an incredible action on the part of the leader of the Muslim Ummah at that time. No one had known a larger um, gathering where people were forgiven when the leader of his army had a chance to attack them and to just kill them and annihilate them. And no one would actually hold that against the Muslims if they had chosen to do that. But they chose to forgive. And what lesson do you think we can learn from this? What lesson do you think we can learn from this? SubhanAllah, this is something I mentioned a couple of sessions ago, that anything that we, and I want you to really think about that. Think about the challenges you go through in life. Any challenge that you and I have gone through in life, the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has gone through it. He has lost family members. He has lost people who he has lost not only by death, but also people who disagreed with him, and not only disagree, tortured him, and not only that, mental torture, physical torture of his friends. He has gone through things over and over and over. And after having gone through all of that, he forgave those people. He forgave them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His reward is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not only that, but also he knows that everyone is looking up to him. And not only is he is this humble person, he is this big person who has this control over his ego. He is not going to do anything to anyone that day. So instead of a day of bloodshed, instead of a day of sadness, of disappointment, of depression, of negativity for people, Fath Makkah has now become such a beautiful story that you and I are able to sit here and discuss and learn lessons from it. Okay, so therefore, what was the punishment for the Quraysh? Nothing. Their lives were spared, their property was in homes were left alone. There wasn't a tax that was imposed on them. They were not made to do anything that they did not want to do. And inshallah, boys and girls, as you get older, as you learn about more battles and wars and fights that have occurred in this world, in this dunya, as you learn more about global history, world history, you will see, I want you to try to remember my words. You'll hardly find an example of a conquest taking place, of an army entering a city, and nothing happening to its people. And this is our history, and this is our prophet, and this is our Rasul, a man who was wise and smart and full of softness and kindness. And that's the takeaway, inshallah, from this seerah. I hope and I pray that, inshallah, these sessions were a means for everyone to get closer to the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And I would encourage you to learn more about his seerah, because if we want to love someone, we want to know everything about them. Same goes for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing his names, knowing him, reading Quran, we get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we get closer to, by doing the same for the Prophet seerah, we get closer to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And it doesn't feel like, oh, this was just 1500 years ago. No, it doesn't feel like that. We know that this happened 1500 years ago, but we're still connected to him through his seerah, through his sunnah. So I will end today's session, and I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts your Ramadan. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, any good deed or action you did in Ramadan, he rewards you so much for it, so much reward that you can't even imagine it. And I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes that deed or good action that he is pleased with, he helps you maintain that throughout the year. And that your Eid tomorrow or Sunday is is going to be very different, but I pray that it is one that is memorable and you celebrate and enjoy with your family, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you don't forget Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You remember him during Eid, and you inshallah have a great time with your family. So tomorrow inshallah is going to be a special session for you. We are going to do a hands-on activity on how to make Eid cards and Eid ornaments. It'll start at 6 o'clock, inshallah. But only if there is no Eid tomorrow. So if there's no Eid tomorrow, today is the last of our sessions, and we're going to have a hands-on activity tomorrow. So please check tonight. Please have your parents check the Facebook or the YouTube channel for MCMC at 9:15 p.m. to see if there's going to be Eid tomorrow or not, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you and may he be with you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.